Good morning, crime community. I'm here to read out Aurora, Leigh, book 3. We'll see what it says. Of a truth, Miss Leigh, I have not without struggle come to this. I took a master in the German tongue. I gamed a little, went to Paris twice, but after all this love, you eat of love. I do as vile a thing as if you ate of garlic, which, whatever else you eat, tastes uniformly acrid, tell your peach, reminds you of your opinion, I am coarse, well, love's coarse, nature's coarse, all there's the rub. We fair fine ladies our park out of lives, from common sheep pass, cannot help the crows, from flying over, were as natural still, as blows a Linda, drape as perfectly in lion's velvet. We are not for that. Lay figures look you, you have hearts within, warm, live, improvident, indecent hearts, as ready for outrageous ends and acts. I am distressed, sempstress of them all, that Romney groans and toils for. We catch love and other fevers in the vulgar way. Love will not be outwitted by our wit, nor outrun by our equipages. Mine persisted, spirits of efforts, all my cards turned up at Romney Lee, my German stopped, a Germain Whistlerism, my Paris rounds, returned me from the Champs-Élysées, just a ghost, a sighting like Dido's. I came home, uncurled, convicted rather to myself of being in love, that's coarse, you'll say. I'm talking garlic. Coldly, I replied. Apologize for atheism, not love. For me, I do believe in love and God. I know my cousin, Lady Waldemar. I know not, yet I say as much as this. Whoever loves him, let her know not excuse, but cleanse herself, that loving such a man, such may do it with such unworthy love, he cannot stoop and take it. That is said austerely, just like a youthful prophetess who knits her brows across her pretty eyes to keep them back from following the gray flight of doves between the temple columns. Dear, be kinder with me, let us two be friends. I am a mere woman, a mere weak perhaps, through being so proud, you're better as far him. He's best, indeed, he builds his goodness up so high it topples down to the other side and makes a sort of badness. There's the worst I have to say against your cousin's best, and so be mild, Aurora, with my worst, for his sake is not mine. I own myself incredulous of confidence like this, availing him of you, and I myself of being worthy of him with any love. In your sense, I am not so, let it pass, and yet I save him if I marry him. Let that pass too. Pass, we pay police upon my cousin's life to indicate that may or may not pass, I cried. He knows what's worthy of him. The choice remains with him, and what he chooses, act or wife, I think, I shall not call unworthy. I, for one, 'tis somewhat rashly said, she answered slow, not let's talk reason, though we talk of love. Your cousin Romney Lee's a monster there. The words out fairly, let me prove the fact. We'll take, say, the most perfect of antiques, they call the genius of the Vatican, which seems too beauteous to endure itself in this mixed world, and fasten it for once upon the torso of the fanning faun, who might limp surely if he did not dance, instead of Borani's mask. What then? We show the sort of monster Romney is, and godlike virtues and heroic aims, subjoining to limping possibilities of mismade human nature. Grant the man, twice godlike, twice heroic, still he limps, and here's the point we come to. Pardon me, but Lady Waldemar, the point's the thing we've never come to. Caustic, insolent, and need. I like you. There, she took my hands, and now my lioness, help Androcles. For all your roaring, help me for myself. I would not say so, but for him he limps. So certainly he'll fall into the pit. and a week hence, so I lose him. So he is lost, and when he's fairly married, he's a Leigh. To a girl of doubtful life, undoubtful birth, starved out in London till her coarse grains hands are wider than her morals, even you may call her choice unworthy. Married lost, he Romney, all you loved moved at last, she said. These monsters set out in the open sun, of course throw monstrous shadows. Those who think a ray will scarcely act straightly. Who but he and who but you can wonder he has been mad, but whole world knows since first a nominal man who scored the protectors, tried the Groman's wits, and equal scorn of triangles and wine, and took no honors, yet with honorable. They'll tell he lost count of Homer's ships, of Melbourne's poor bills, Ashley's factory bills, ignored the Aspesa we all dared to praise, for other women dear we could not name, because we're decent. We all had some right. On some side, probably, men always have. So go absurdly wrong. The living bore who grew your ale exceeds in vital worth. Dead Caesar who stops bungholes in the cask, and also to do good is excellent for persons of his income, even to boors. I sympathize with all such things, but he, when mad upon them, madder and more mad, from college times to these, as going downhill, the faster still, the farther. You must know your Leigh by heart. He has sown his black young curls with bleaching cares of 500,000 men already. If you do not starve or sin, you're nothing to him. Pay the income tax and break your heart upon. He'll scarce be touched and come upon the parish qualified for the parish stocks, and Romney will be there to call your brother, sister, or perhaps a tenderer name still. Had I any chance with Mr. Leigh, who I am, Lady Waldemar, and never committed felony. You speak too bitterly, I said, for the literal truth. The truth is bitter. Here's a man who looks forever on the ground. You must be low, or else a pictured ceiling overhead. Good painting thrown away. For me, I've done. What women say may. We're somewhat limited. We modest women, but we've done my best. How men are perjured when they swear our eyes have meaning in them, and just blue or brown, they just can drop their lids a little, and yet mid did more, for I half read, 4 year through, Progton, Considerant, and Louis Blanc, with various others of his socialists, and if I had been a fathom less in love, had cured myself with grasping as it was, I quoted from them prettily enough, perhaps to make them sound half rational to a saner man than he whenever we talked, for which I dodged occasion, learnt by heart. He speeches on the commons and elsewhere upon the social question. He reports of wicked women in penitentiaries, of all my tables with a place for Sue, and gave my name a swell subscription list towards keeping up the suns at night in heaven, and other possible ends, all things I did, except the impossible, such as wearing gowns provided by the 10 hours movement. There I stopped. We must stop somewhere. He, meanwhile, unmoved as the Indian tortoise neath the world, let all that noise go on upon his back, and he would not disconcert or throw me out. 'Twas well to see a woman of my class with such a dawn of conscience for the heart, made firewood for his sake, and flaming up to his face, he merely warmed his feet at it, just deigned to let my carriage stop him short. And Parker Street, he's leaning on the door with news of the committee which saw last the pockets at Suck and Martyr's Jest. Dear, if you read their lives upon the axe which kills them, then all's done by me for him. You'll ask him presently the color of my hair. He cannot tell. He answers dark at random. Well, be sure he's absolute on the figure 5 or 10 of my last subscription. Is it bearable? If I am woman, is it repairable, though I mere a man? I know not, that's to prove. But first, this shameful marriage. Ah, I cried, when really there's a marriage. Yesterday I held him fast upon it. Mr. Leigh, said I, shut up a thing, it makes more noise. The boiling town keeps secrets ill. I've known your sense last week. Forgive my knowledge so. You feel I'm not the woman of the world. The world thinks you have borne with me before and used me in your noble work, our work, and now you shall not cast me off because you're in the difficult point, the join. 'Tis true, even I can scarce admit the cogency of such a marriage, where you do not love except the class, yet marry and throw your name down to the gutter for a fire escape to future generations. 'Tis sublime, a great example of true genesis of the opening social era. But take heed, this virtuous act must have a patient wait, or lose half its virtue. Make it tell, interpret it, and sell it in the light, and do not muffle it in the dark cloak as a vulgar bit of shame, as if at best Ali had made a misalliance and blushed. A Howard should know it, and then I pressed him more. He would not choose, I said, that even his kin, Aurora Leigh, even should conceive his act, less sacrifice, more fantasy, at which he grew so pale, dear, to the limbs. I knew I had touched him. Do you know her? He inquired. My cousin Aurora, yes, I said and lied, but truly we all know you by your books, and so I offered to come straight to you, explain the subject, justify the cause, and take you with me to St. Margaret's Court to see this miracle, this Fabian Earl, the drover's daughter. She's not pretty, she swears, upon whose finger, exquisitely pricked by 100 needles, so to hang the tie twixt class and class in England. Thus, indeed, to such a presence, yours and mine, to lift the match up from the doubtful place. At once he thanked me, sighing, murmured to himself, she'll do it perhaps, she's noble, thanked me twice, and promised as my guerdon to put off his marriage of the month. I answered then, I understand your drift imperfectly. You wish to lead me to my cousin's betrothed, to touch her hand if worthy, and hold her hand if feeble, thus to justify his match. So be it then, but how this serves your end, and how the strange confession of your love serve this, I have to learn, I cannot see. She knit her restless forehead, then despite Aurora, that most radiant morning name, you're dull in any London afternoon. I wanted time and gained it, wanted you and gained you, and will come and see the girl to whose most prodigal eyes and lineal pearl and pride of all your lofty race of Leighs is destined to solution, authorized by sight and knowledge. Then you'll speak your mind and prove to Romney in your brilliant way. He'll wrong the people and posterity, say such a thing as bad for me and you fail utterly by concluding thus an inexorable marriage. Break it up, disroot it. Peradventure, presently, will plant a better fortune in its place. Be good to me, Aurora, scorn me less for saying the thing I should want. I should not. Well, I know I should not. I have kept, as others have, the iron rule of womanly reserve in lip and life till now. I wept a week before I came here, ending she was pale, and last words, haughtily said, were tumultuous. Her palsy pranced in harness, arched her neck, and only from the foam upon the bit she saw the champed against it. Then I rose. I love. Truce no cleaner than love. The comprehend a love so fiery hot, it burns its natural veil of august shame, and stands sublimely in the nude, as chaste as Medicean Venus. But I know a love that burns through veils will burn through mask and shrivel up treachery. What love and lie? Nay, go to the opera. Your love's curable. I love and lie, she said. I lie forsooth, and beat her taper foot upon the floor, and smiled against the shoe. You're hard, Miss Leigh, unversed in current phrases. Bowling greens of poets are fresher than the world's highways. Forgive me that I rashly blew the dust which dims our hedges, even in your eyes, and vexed you so much you find probably no evil in this marriage, rather good, of innocence to pastoralize in song. You'll give the bond your signature, perhaps, beneath the lady's mark, indifferent that Romney chose a wife, could write her name in witnessing he loved her. Loved, I cried. Who tells you what he wants a wife to love? He gets a horse to use, not love, I think. There's work for wives as well, and after straw, when men are liberal, for myself you err, supposing power in me to break this match. I could not do it to save Romney's life, and would not to save mine. You take it so, she said, farewell then, write your books in peace, and far as may be for some secret stir, now obvious to him, for most obviously to coming hither, I mistook the way, whereat she touched my hand and bent her head and floated me like a cloud, like a silent cloud that leaves the sense of thunder. I drew breath, oppressed in my deliverance. After all, the woman breaks her social system up. For love, so counted, the love possible to such, the lilies are still lilies pulled in smutty hands through spotted from their white, and thus she is better happily of her kind than Romney Leigh, who lives by diagrams and crosses out the spontaneities of all this individual personal life with formula universals. And if man were set upon a high stool at a desk to keep God's books for him in red and black and feel by millions, what if even God were chiefly God by living out himself to an individualism of the infinite, etern, intense, profuse, his throwing up the golden spray of multitudinous worlds in measure to the proclive weights and rush of his inner nature and spontaneous love, still proof and outflow of spontaneous love, to live, Aurora? 2 hours afterward, within St. Margaret's Court, I stood alone, close, veiled, a sick child from ague fit, who wasted right hand gambled gainst his left with an old brass button in a blot of sun, jeered weakly at me as I passed across the uneven pavement, while a woman robed upon the angular cheekbones, kerchief torn, then dangling locks and fat, lavish mouth, curved at a window both ways, in and out, but turns by bed-rid creature and myself, lie there still, their mother, like the dead dog. You'll be tomorrow. What, we picked our way, fine madam, and those damnable small feet, we cover up our face from doing good, as if it were our purse. What brings you here, my lady? Isn't to find a gentleman who visits the tame pigeon in the eaves, or collar a catchu with its cramps and spasms, and tumble up your good clothes, veil and all, and turn your whiteness blue dead? I looked up. I think I could have walked through hell that day and never flinched. And dear Christ, comfort you, I said. You must have been most miserable. To me so cruel, and I emptied out my purse upon the stones. Then I had cast the last charm in the cauldron, and the whole court went boiling, bubbling up from all its doors and windows and the hideous walls of laughs and roars of oaths and blows. Perhaps I paused too quickly for distinguishing, and pushed a little side door hanging on a hinge, and plunged into the dark, and groped and climbed the long, steep, narrow stair twixt broken rail and mildewed well that plaster. Let the plaster drop to startle me in the blackness. Set up. So high lived Romney's bride. I paused at last before the low door in the roof and knocked. there came an answer, like a hurried dove. So soon came that be Mr. Leigh, so soon as I entered an ineffable face met mine upon the threshold. Oh, not you, the dropping of the voice implied. Then, if not you, for me, not anyone, I looked her in the eyes and held her hands and said, I am his cousin, Romney Lee's, and here I come to see my cousin too. She touched me with her face and with her voice, this daughter of the people, with soft flowers, from such rough roots, the people under there can sin so, curse so, look so, smell, fa, yet have such daughters. Now, wise, beautiful, with Marian Earl, she was not white nor brown, but could look either like a mist that changed according to being shown, or more or less. The hair, too, ran its opulence of curls, in doubt twixt dark and bright, nor left you clear to name the color. Too much hair, perhaps. I'll name a fault here, for so small a head, which seemed to droop on the side, and on this a full-blown rose, uneasy with its weight, through not a wind should trouble it again. The dimple of the cheek had better gone, with rudder fuller round and somewhat large. The mouth was, through the milky little teeth, dissolved it to so infinite a smile, for soon it smiled at me, its eyes smiled too, for 'twas as if remembering they had wept, and knowing they should some day weep again. We talked, we told her all her story out, which I'll retell with fuller utterance, as colored and confirmed in after times by others and herself too. Marian Earl was born upon the ledge of Malvern Hill, to eastward in the hut built up at night to evade the landlord's eye and mud and turf. Still liable at once he looked that way to being straight, leveled, scattered by his foot, like any other anthill, born, I say. God sent her work to his world, commissioned right, her human testimonials fully signed, not scant in soul, complete in lineaments, but others had a swindle her a place to wail, and when she had come, no place for her, no man's law, born an outlaw was this babe, her first cry in our strange and strangling air, when cast its spasms out of the shuddering womb, was wrong against the circle cord, forced wrong. What business had the baby to cry there? I tell her story and grow passionate. She, Marian, did not tell it so, but used meek words that made me wonder of herself. So being so sad a creature, Mr. Leigh, considering truly that such things should be, they will in heaven, by meantime on the earth, that none can like a nettle as a pink, except himself, were nettles some of us, and give offense to the act of springing up, and we leave the damp side of the wall. The hose, of course, are on us, as she said. Her father earned his life by random jobs, despised by steadier workmen, keeping swine, on commons picking hops and hurrying on, and harvest as wet seasons, or at need, assisting the Welsh drovers when a drove of startled horses plunged into the mist below the mountain road and sowed the wind with wandering neighbors and gaped between the gaps. Of such irregular work we drank and slept, and cursed his wife because, the pence being out, she could not buy more drink, at which she turned the worm that beat her baby in revenge for her own broken heart. That's not a crime, but takes its proper change out still in crime. It once rung in the counter of this world, but sinners look at it, yet the outcast child for whom the very mother's face forewent, the mother's special patience lived and grew, learned cryly, early a cry low, and walked alone, what with pathetic, vacillating roll in the infant body of the uncertain feet, the earth being felt unstable ground so soon, at which most women's arms unclose at once, with irrepressible instinct, thus at three, This poor weaned child would run off from the fold. This babe would steal off from her mother's chair, and creeping with the golden wall of gorse, would find some keyhole toward the secrecy of heaven's high blue, and nestling down, peer out, oh, not to catch the angels of their games. She had never heard of angels, but to gaze. She knew not why, to see she knew not what, a hungering outward from the barren earth for something like a joy she liked, she said, to dazzle black her sight against the sky, for then it seemed some grand blind love came down and groped her out and clasped her with a kiss. She lent God that way and was beat for it whenever she went home, yet came again as surely as she trapped hair, getting free, returned to his form. This grand blind love, she said, their skyey father and mother, both in one, instructed her and civilized her more than even Sunday school did afterward, to which a lady sent her to learn books and sit upon a long bench in a row with other children. Well, she laughed sometimes to see them laugh and maul their texts, but often she was sorrowful with noise and wondered if their mothers beat them hard, that ever they should laugh so. There was one she loved indeed, Rose Bell, a 7 years child, so pretty and clever. She read syllables. When Marion was at letters, she would laugh at nothing. Hold your fingers up, she laughed, then shook her curls down over her eyes and mouth to hide or make mirth from the schoolmaster, and Rose's pleading glee as frank as rain. Oh, cherry blossoms, brighten Marion too, and see another Mary whom she loved. She whispered once, the children side by side, with mutual arms entwined about their necks. Your mother's lets you laugh so. Aye, said Rose, she let me. She was dug to the ground 6 years since. I being a yearling wean, such mothers let us play and lose our time, and never scold nor beat us. Don't you wish you had one like that? Said Marion, breaking off. Suddenly looked in my face. Poor Rose, she said. I heard her laugh last night at Oxford Street. I poured out half my blood to stop that laugh. Poor Rose, said Marion. She resumed. I think we'll leave this story of Romney Leigh and Aurora Leigh and the story of their love and adventures for another day. Again, we have no word on Donna McElwain. We wait for the coroner's report, will give us all the answers we need. So we pray for peace and love in the world today, and joy and share, and God love the women and children of the earth.